My favourite topic, the integration of the post-production tools into this workflow. As we've said, integration of a mixture of tools, the best of breed tools, is key. And what we do is allow you to integrate MAM systems like the one from Blue Order with a number of editors and yet still maintain a tightly integrated workflow. A part of that tight integration is the delivery of metadata through the process. Again, a little bit of planning goes into the system when you set it up, completely configurable, as to what metadata is going to be useful both for the editor when he's doing his work, but also downstream of what he does. I'll explain that in a little bit. So we have an EDL exported from the MAM system, and there are really two types of metadata in that file. One is what I would call the production metadata, descriptions of the media. So I have descriptions of the source clips. These will obviously be things like the names of the players in the shot. It may be notes that the producer puts and he wants to pass down to the editor to tell him to do something to a particular shot, to process it in some way. Or it may be background information so the editor knows how to use it. Obviously the title of the shot and things like that are going to be useful. But that metadata is also about the sequence. So the MAM system already has inside it the concept of the product I'm trying to make in my post-production activity. It already has placeholders for that, ID numbers, possibly even titles. If this is a finished program, it may even have an ID number in a rundown somewhere. So that those already exist as placeholders within the MAM system, although that asset doesn't yet exist. So it can embed that metadata into the EDL to describe the sequence in that EDL. That will then come back out again and describe the finished object when we do the export. So we have all this production metadata in the EDL. We also, of course, have the temporal metadata. So the producer has gone through my, whatever it is, 4-hour recording and has chosen the highlights from the match that I want to put into my 1-hour evening show. They've been doing this as the match has been going on, so they've been working pretty much chase frame, if you like. As the stuff's coming into the facility, they've been browsing it and choosing the shots that they want to use in the final 1-hour wrap-up highlight package. They export an EDL that shows us which source clips to use and which bits of those source clips and how they lay them out. So they've already got in their mind how they're going to tell the story, which matches they want to cover first, followed by which ones, and which bits they want, so the order in which they happen. So we can take that information about which source shots to use in the edit and which bits to use and extract just that media to transfer to the editor. So we can make that transfer as fast as possible. If it's just a simple transfer, that can be many, many times faster than real time, or at least several times faster if it's an HD content. And by only transferring the material that you need, you're making that transfer as fast as possible. We'll come on to workflows that don't require a transfer in a minute. So what I'm delivering to my craft editor is the right media and the metadata to describe both the source content and what it is I'm trying to produce. So the editor can sit down at his edit, and rather than in a conventional tape-based workflow where he'd sit down and the first thing he does is review a whole bunch of tapes with the producer and select the rushes and ingest that stuff, all that's happened. He can really now sit down and start to do what he is paid to do, which is the craft editing, finishing off that package, tightening it up, and really making it work as a craft edit, as opposed to a bunch of shots that have been juxtaposed into a timeline. So we're starting to see how we can integrate a number of different products and buy the best of breed. So we're not forced to buy one particular editor. As much as you will wish to, your editor people will choose what tool they want to use. They will have almost a religion as to whether they work with Avid or Final Cut, being the typical two. And it's no good you telling them one is technically superior to the other. If you need that editor because you want his craft capability, you'll have to give him the tools that he wants. And if he's doing a particular package for a particular output platform, it's going to be much easier for you if you can give him the tools that he requests rather than forcing him to use the tool that is compatible. So being able to choose the right tool and yet have this degree of integration in the whole workflow is going to give you a much more flexible system. And having that tight integration eliminates errors. The metadata going through automatically saves retyping, saves telling the operator he's got to type in this ID number, he's got to look it up on this website, get an ID number and type it in here. If you can pass that metadata through automatically, then you're going to save time and you're going to have a much more efficient workflow.